Hello and welcome to another episode from the Water's Edge, and you catch up with us today having travelled up to the mighty River Trent, probably the mecca of all barbel fishing, and that is exactly what we're here for. Now unfortunately where we live in Norfolk, pretty much barbel fishing is non-existent, which is such a shame considering only a few years ago the British record was probably 3 minutes from my house. But now if we want to catch them, we have to travel a little bit, and why not come to some of the best barbel fishing around. Now having fished this river a fair few times, I've been really lucky with conditions. Every time I've come down it's been a lot of water on, really coloured, and the fishing has been insane. But it's not quite that today, so I've turned up slightly disappointed. It's a little bit clear, slightly low, so I'm guessing fishing's going to be a bit harder, but you just never know. So that's the plan for today. We're going to fish into the evening, throughout the night, and then we'll pack up tomorrow morning. So the rods are out there now. It's about 7 o'clock ish, so we've got a couple of hours before it gets dark. They probably need a little bit of a freshen up, so we'll get on that now and hope as this light level drops and the barbel drop their guard a little bit, we may be into a fish or two. So we've got both rods out there fishing now. I'm just going to put a little bit of bait out. Now the Trent is a real big hungry river, you know, there's a lot of fish, not just barbel, all sorts of fish are here. Now I said at the start we're probably not fishing for loads of fish because the conditions aren't great, but you still have to be active, you still have to be getting bait in, regular casts. I'll probably be plopping my feeders in every 20 minutes or so, but just to give us a bit of an extra kickstart, this is all I'm using. So you've probably seen these before, quite a few people do them. So it's a standard spom that's been converted, I think people call them a spopper, and basically there's a pin converted into the front with a weighted nose, and as it comes down it works like a bait dropper, so it hits the bottom, dispenses your bait out exactly where you're fishing. Now ideally I'd like to be fishing a bit closer in, but because we're on an inside of a bend, all my deep water is over the far side. So the beauty about these is you can just cast them as you would a normal spom if you were carp fishing or something like that. You just need to make sure that once it's hit the water, lower your tip to slacken the line, so it makes sure the bait dropper hits nose down, because you need it to knock that pin out. Then what I'm going to be putting out there, nothing complicated at all. I've got a bucket full here, literally hemp, a few pellets, a bit of crushed boilies, and just something like a normal genuine barbel mix. You don't have to be fancy with it, but nice strong smelling bait, fresh bait, and it shouldn't be too far wrong. So I'll probably put 5 or 6 of these out there now. Hopefully it's going to kickstart as this light fades a bit of action, so let's get those out there. Well, talk about getting that right. Literally just after I put that bait out, I hardly put the spod rod down and we're off. And this is why we come to the Trent. If you've never caught, no, I was about to say, if you've never caught a barbel, the fight is the best bit. And it was, it's one of them, innit? You can't get it all the while. So frustrating when I know that, well, I say I know it's not going to be good, but that's a great sign. And they just go absolutely mental. The bite's just off the rest, and the fight is so explosive. And unfortunately, that one has just fell off. There's nothing you can do about it sometimes. Let's just check everything's all good. Yeah, it's fine. Look, bait's there. It's just one of those things that is fishing for you. But if there's anything that takes a plus side of that, it's a bite, it's a start. We'll get some more feeders out there, and hopefully next time I might be able to show you one. Well, generally gutted about that one, but you know, we've still got the night ahead and there could be another fishing for us. So rods are back out there fishing, time for some food, and this is a real life hack. Me and Chris, as I said, it's about 2.5 to 3 hours drive for us. So we stopped at the old faithful McDonald's, an extra meal, and then in goes to the Ridge Monkey, your spare burger, and a few chips as well. Burger and chips on the bank. There's nothing you can't cook in a Ridge Monkey, and if anything is going to make us feel better after losing that fish, it's our second helping of burger and chips today. Not the most healthy. Probably wouldn't advise it if you're weight watching, looking after the pounds, but you know, we want to be catching fish, we don't want to be cooking up gourmet meals. So that goes in there. 5 minutes, we'll be in for another bit of nice food. Well, if anything can bring on a fish, it's your second portion of McDonald's for the day. A real weird bite this, and a little bit of a weird fight actually. I know, like I said, normally they just smash the rod over and it's just absolute mayhem. But this one was like quite nodding around, and I've picked it up now initially thinking it was going to be a bream, but to be honest with you, it's just holding in the current. And I'm pretty convinced it's not. I mean, unless I haven't caught a bream here on the Trent for a while, but it's putting up a good account for itself if it is. And I think, to be honest, it's just I think it's going to be a barbel that's not woke up yet. I mean, there's always a chance of a chub or something different, but I really genuinely don't know. This is one of those ones where you're just guessing what it could be. I think this could just be a little one, you know, but it could be a fish. He's coming towards the net now. Whee. A little fella. A little barbel imperfection. He may have given me a bream disguise at the start, but there was no mistaking at the end. And I'll go out there and say, barbel have got to be one of my favourite fish to catch. They're just torpedo shaped fish, unbelievable power. And if you've never caught one, I promise you, get out and go and barbel fishing, you will not regret it. But this is by any means the Trent standard, not one of the big ones, one of the ones that you'd expect plenty of these little fellas to be snaffling on that bait, eating up plenty of bait as they go along. They're going to come around in big numbers, so that's why we keep active, keep casting those feeders out there. But we pop the light on so you can see him in all his glory. We'll get this one slipped back, and then we're going to get another bait out there. Whee. He didn't take much encouragement, but I was going to say, well, they do give their all. They live in high oxygenated rivers, so make sure, just like one did there, they kick away powerfully, ready to battle that flow after you're done with them. Well, we'll just finish off the food. I'm now going to get another bait ready after that fish. It's been a pretty good start, to be honest. We've had the one we lost and then that fish we just landed. So I'm just going to basically plug the feed at one end with ground bait, and I'm loading up some pellets and some hemp in the middle and then plugging the other end. And now it's properly dark. It is a little bit harder to keep motivated, and as I said before, I've been really blessed in this river and fishing mega conditions, and actually I've reeled in at night because the fishing through the day has been so good. But I don't think it's going to be that situation at now with the conditions how they are, so it's really important to stay motivated. I know it's harder when it's dark and you can't see stuff and you don't know if you're exactly on the spot, but regular top-ups of bait, every 15-20 minutes of cast, really important if it's going to be a slightly slower session. So that's ready to fire out there. Hopefully, if we keep working at it, there'll be another one that just round the corner. Well, not quite the double figure Trent barbel that we're trying to target, but a cracking chub all the same, and the effort for putting a few casts in throughout the hours of darkness has paid off. We'll get this one slipped back, and hopefully there's a barbel just around the corner. Well, after what was a pretty uneventful but stressful working at night, apart from a chub to report, now finally one has ripped off. The right hand rod again. It's the one that's done all of the bites actually, slightly downstream, so it doesn't surprise me, but classic, couple of nods on the tip, the rod's absolutely nailed over, and now it's holding out there nicely in this tide. Now I'm so worried and being so careful after the one we lost yesterday. I just really don't want to lose another one, but the fights are just brilliant. They're the best fighting fish here we go, best fighting fish I've ever caught by an absolute mile, and especially in this current with the sort of tackle that you're using, you really do know that you've got one on. But I'm not going to rush it, slowly pump and whine. If they run, let them do it, and hopefully this one's going to play ball.
This time.
Well, check that out. That has made what has felt like a very long night of regular casting, regular baiting, all worthwhile. He's mega angry with his fin up, and I'm so glad we got to catch one in the light for you. You can see them in all their glory. They are just superb fish, built for power and built for speed. But it is so very often that these early mornings, late evenings, when the best action can happen. And I said we're only expecting sort of 1 or 2 bites with the conditions that we've been given. And we've had 3 bites of barbel, only landed 2 and a chub, so it's been pretty good. And we've probably got a couple of hours left of real good fishing time before the sun gets up and puts them off. But what we'll do is we'll get this one slipped back, take a look at the rigs that we've been using and talk you through those, and hopefully there's a chance of another bite yet. So let's start off with the feeder. So currently I'm fishing a 4 ounce feeder. That's just about enough weight that I can cast that over there and it will hold. It is a real powerful river and you do need a fair bit of weight. So 4 ounce feeder, and a real big one as well. I like to get a lot of bait out, a lot of regular casts, and try and get as much activity in your swim as you physically can. That sort of sits on lead arrangement, should we say, a feeder arrangement, is a bolt and run kit. So I've just clipped it out there and you can see it's free running. Now you can fish it like that if you want, but I like to just push it over this little collar. This is why it's bolt and run, because you can basically have it as a bolt rig. So there it is now fixed, and this is how I fish it. But if you get a real savage take or the barbel shines off of it, it will just ping out of there, then it's become free running and nice and safe. So really good for hook holds, but also really good for fish safety. That comes onto a quick change clip, a little tail rubber, and then 4 foot-ish of £10 fluorocarbon hook link. Again, £10 probably seems quite heavy, but I mean, I've had fishing here to nearly £13 and people have had them way bigger than that. In a heavy flow, big fish, it's just not worth going any lighter, and you need to get the fish in that you land. You don't want to be losing fish and leaving hooks in them. So £10 hook link comes down to a fairly small size 10 barbed hook, and on there I've just mounted a little 10 or 12 mil boilie. Tends to be my preferred bait of choice. You could go down a real neat caster and maggot choice, but this has just always worked for me, so that's where I stay with it. So as I said, nothing particularly complicated. but just for the style I'm fishing, the hours that I'm fishing, everything works, and it's really done me good every time I've been here. So I'm just going to get this loaded up now, get another bait out there, a few more spoms over the top, and hopefully we're not going to be too far away from another fish. Well, just after another freshen up of the rigs and the few more little spoms of bait out there, it's ripped off again. And to be honest with you, I'm really surprised. It's so clear, this water, and it's like, that's the last thing you want. The more coloured the water is, literally the more barbel you catch. It's as simple as that. And it was sort of like chatting to Chris, do you think it's going to happen? Is it too clear? And it's just absolutely melted off as they do, and it's just downstream doing what they do, holding in the tide. Just mega fights. I generally could catch these fish all day, every day. Shuffle him in. There you are, you can see the little 12mm boilie just nicked inside my oven. There's such rubbery lips. Very, very rarely do the hooks come out. I know I lost that one earlier, but he's a lot bigger. Certainly what the Trent is known for, so I'll pop him on the scales and see what he goes. Well, there we are, what the Trent is well known for. We wanted the Trent double, but not quite. It's probably an ounce under £9 this one, but it's certainly the biggest one of the trip, and he put up the best account for himself as well. Literally built for power and built for speed, as I've said before, but they do give their absolute all in the fight. So we'll get this one slipped back and we'll pop another bait out there. Well, that's it. We've called it a day. It is probably now the worst conditions you could ask for barbel fishing. Bright sunshine, the river's gone down really low and it's crystal clear. So we've called it a day. We've got fairly long drive home, so we're going to get on the road. But I promise you we'll come back and fish this river when it's in flood, because it is absolutely insane. But from the conditions we've had, really chuffed with how it's gone. I've had 4 bites from barbel, 3 of them landed, and that mega chub in the middle of the night as well. If I was actually fishing for chub and that fish, I'd have been well happy with that one. So yeah, it's gone really well. The Trent hasn't let me down again, and it's been thoroughly enjoyable. So if you like your barbel fishing, don't forget to give the video a like, don't forget to subscribe. But all that's left for us to say is thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one.